ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Thursday, July 10th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I am your host, Paul Swann. Our text line is open, and it's brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. We do that every day at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We're still in those summer months, so it's going to be a totally open text line for the entire hour today. So whatever's on your mind, rumors, speculation, statements, whatever you want to do, it's open for you right now. And I'll give you that number one more time, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. And we do check it a few minutes before the show every day. I got a text yesterday about another score that Marshall fans should remember, and I got a screenshot as well. We got to go all the way back to November 26th, 2016 was the screenshot given, and it was a awful score, 60-6, Western Kentucky beating a 3-9 Marshall. So a tough memory there. And that was in reference to 66-6. That was a memory that a fan brought up yesterday on the show. I asked younger Herd fans, do you even know what that means when someone says 66-6? What that is in relation to? What's the history and the backstory to that? Well, if you don't know, I asked you yesterday, hey, go Google that. Go find that out. Tell me what you found out. And, of course, a couple of you did that. And the correct answer is it's a god-awful score from a time in which Marshall was trying to pick itself up and start anew after the terrible plane tragedy which cost Marshall its entire football team and 75 lives in overall. And so Marshall's trying to keep football alive, honor the memory of the people that perished in that tragedy. And one of the games was against Miami. The then what were they? Were they the Redskins then? I mean, they're the Red Hawks now. Most people remember them as the Red Hawks because the name changed and it's been so long. But Miami of Ohio, when Marshall was competing in the Mid-American Conference, put it to the Herd. I mean, this is the young thundering Herd that Miami put it to 66-6. So there's a lot of bad blood from at least a lot of the older Herd fans toward Miami. And so when we brought up Miami as potentially a MAC school that could be a candidate to get into the Sun Belt, a lot of you jumped on that. Hate Miami, hate 66-6. And, of course, some of you would like to see Marshall play Miami and play that game every single year. I'd be okay with it. From a rivalry standpoint, I'd be okay with it. It would be competitive. Of course, we continue on, still waiting, don't know what is going to happen yet. Sunbelt and wait-and-see mode, or will Louisiana Tech finally get enough push from members to be admitted into the Sun Belt to bring up football back to 14 members? Of course, Texas State will be leaving after this season in football and all sports, heading to the Pac-12. So where are we at right now with that? And I think this Ohio thing still has generated some buzz, at least for Marshall fans. It has generated some buzz, and why not? It might be an interesting pick here. Of course, then you'd have to look at what would make sense for the geography. Are you going to go north-south with this or east-west? If it's east-west, I don't know if this makes sense having Ohio in it. If you go north and south, of course, you can make some adjustments. The only thing is I don't want to lose the Georgia schools. That's the one thing that I would hate to see, especially Georgia Southern. Yeah, Georgia State would be fine, but I'm okay with both of them as a pair. If you've got to have a Georgia school, I'd rather have Georgia Southern in the same division as Marshall. But if you've got both of them, I'm happy. I like the pairing. I like having that. I just don't know what's going to be available out there right now. And then why is still there's some disdain for Liberty? I even read some of that today. People are some are with me. I say bring Liberty on. Bring Liberty in, because I think Liberty has probably a higher trajectory than some of the programs that we've been talking about. Liberty and Louisiana Tech. Answer me that question right now. Louisiana Tech or Liberty? Tech, Liberty. Which one? I'm taking Liberty in that case. Western Kentucky, Liberty. Well, again, which one has a higher profile? Which one has the greater forward momentum? Which one has a higher ceiling? It might be Liberty. Texter said yesterday, I think we got to this one yesterday. This was late in the show, and they were wanting Ohio University and Miami to be the two picks because what's interesting here is there are teams that are actually putting some feelers out to get into the Sun Belt. That's a good thing that there are some programs, some athletic departments that are looking to get in. And, of course, you just need one right now unless you want to go to 16. And there was that talk that ULM, University of Louisiana Monroe, too many ULLL acronyms going on there. But ULM, staying put, not going anywhere anytime soon. Texture says, Liberty 100%. And what are your thoughts on Huck's Herd documentary? Anything that can bring attention to Huck's Herd, I'm good with. Let's go to your first point. Liberty makes sense if you're going north-south. If you're going to do the north-south split, I think Liberty would make perfect sense, and it's going to make that East Division super competitive. Liberty will bring a lot of attention. I mean, will it be seismic? I don't know. I don't want to go that far, but Liberty would bring a lot of attention to the Sun Belt. You go east, west, you lose a couple of teams, if you're going to try to reshuffle, or you go north, south, and maybe you lose one of the Georgia schools. So that's where I'm at there. As far as Huck's Herd, I'm of a certain age where when I was a kid, Huck's Herd was the thing. And I had some older Herd fans, even in the day, go, that was the greatest trick that Rick Huckabee was ever able to do, was get everyone on board and call it Huck's Herd. And some of the reaction at the time, even then, and these were older Herd fans, were like, well, but it's my herd. It's not your herd. It's my herd. It's our herd. It's not Huck's Herd. But I think that softened a little bit. And what was great about Marshall basketball when I was growing up and when it was during the Huck's Herd era is, of course, as a kid, the big thing was, we had the schedule posters. Those were fun. I've talked about that. It had to have the latest Huck's Herd schedule posters. And, of course, there was that rivalry came into the Southern Conference, Marshall, Chattanooga. There were some great, intense rivalries. I think the fan bases got behind it. And so there were willing participants. And every game always felt like a big-time rivalry, or at least a lot of the Southern Conference matchups did. And then you get into the situation where you had some really, really good talent come in. And we're talking legends of the game. And, of course, I'm a big John Taft fan. And as a kid, I was a Skip Henderson fan. I was a John Taft fan. And you could go down the list. There were so many notable players in that era of Huck's Herd, to the point now, and I don't think that this happens today. If so, I would be surprised. How many kids, when they're playing pickup basketball, in PE, in gym, we're playing basketball at Kamak. We're at Kamak here. Blue Streaks, if anyone wants to represent. The Kamak Blue Streaks. We're playing basketball, pickup basketball in the gym. And how many times have you hear kids go, hey, I'm Jeff Battle, coming up the court. Hey, I'm Jeff Battle. And emulating your favorite Marshall players. I mean, I'm hoping that somebody has come up down the playground and go, hey, I'm Tavion Kinsey. Hey, I'm John Elmore. That was a special time. So anything that can bring those memories back and shine some light on that point in time for Marshall basketball, I'm all for. I know there were some good times and there were some bad times with that. But that's when Marshall basketball was really on the map. And you can talk about the 70s, and that was an important time frame as well for Marshall basketball. But Marshall basketball on the map in the 80s. The Henderson Center was a lot newer, pristine, opened up, fantastic at the time facility. It was definitely a different experience than the field house. And, of course, I think we all say that with a little sadness now for those that actually got to see basketball in the field house. And for me, it was more high school basketball at that point in the field house than Marshall basketball. But the Henderson Center really opened it up for Marshall fans, for the program to have a new lease on life. And That was a really special time, so I'm all for anything that kind of shines light on that. I think we should all definitely look back with fondness. I mean, Marshall has had some important individuals lead the Thundering Herd, and I think Rick Huckabee's right up there with that list. Cam Henderson, of course, probably doesn't get enough credit, enough due for what Cam Henderson meant to basketball. And I go back, we were talking about Deb Novak and her documentary Ashless to Glory. That was an important documentary. And then we go, and she had a Cam Henderson documentary as well. I believe that came out, 15, 20 years ago at least? It's been a while. I will say this. It's been a while. I'm going to put it on maybe the 15-year mark at least. I'd have to go back. I haven't watched that in a long time. Also from the text line, let's check back in, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter says, Paul, I would love to see Miami and Ohio in the Sun Belt. It would be great to go to local places. I appreciate that thought because that is important. You want to be able to go see the Herd on the road. It's great to be able to watch the Herd at home, but you want to also have an opportunity to go see the Herd on the road. And so say Marshall's playing Ohio on a Saturday, well, you can travel up. Oh, you know what? Honestly, if Marshall's playing Ohio a midweek game, you can make that trip to Athens, watch the game, get home, get to bed, be ready to go the next day. That would be great for at least travel between Marshall and Ohio. And with Miami, it wouldn't be that long of a trip anyway. You go to the Cincinnati area, you hit up to Miami, take the AA highway maybe. Travel would be okay. Of course, you would get to go to Cincinnati. Obviously, you can, if it's a weekend trip, you can make a day of it. If it's a weeknight game, obviously you can make a trip, come back home. Maybe it would work for at least Marshall to have those two in the Sun Belt. Also, football, there are two easy trips right there. Basketball, I'm thinking a little bit more, but for football, that's definitely doable. It's not that terrible of travel. It wouldn't be that far out of the way for some of the other teams like JMU, Appalachian, relatively speaking, of course. If you have to fly in, you could probably get it done a little bit easier, Cincinnati area, than, say, Athens, but you can get it done. You can make it work. Next texter says, Paul, I still think ECU should be first choice, but slim chance of that happening. Otherwise, I would want in this order: Western Kentucky, Liberty, Miami of Ohio, and finally, direct quote, the Ohio Kittens, with the sideway laughing emoji. Appreciate the text. The little Bobcats, the Kittens. See, you want it. Now that it's kind of been talked about, and there might be a future move here. And I think the MAC is not immune to all the goings-on these days. Look at it this way. You add a couple of teams that are far-flung. Now, I don't know how far-flung some of these teams would be travel-wise, the budget for Ohio and the Sun Belt compared to, you get the trip to Buffalo. You got UMass. You got those trips you got to deal with. But that's in all sports. At least it'd be a little bit more manageable in the Sun Belt, I would think. And of course, if it's division, you can structure that a little bit better than what you've got right now. And let's just be quite honest with ourselves here. For the most part, the Mid-American Conference is an Ohio-Michigan regional conference, which has gotten a lot of attention from time to time. There have been moments when the Mid-American Conference has gotten attention. But if you're Ohio and you have aspirations to be a little bit more in football or a little bit more in basketball, you're not going to get it done in the Mid-American Conference. You're going to have to look elsewhere. As far as ECU, there need to be a few dominoes to fall in place first, and then that's going to have to make the AAC. That's going to have to make the American not that attractive. You got to look at, okay, here are the members that are left. Which schools could jump? What's that going to look like? Would it be a better fit if the Sun Belt could stay together and then just add? And it's going to be a big hurdle to kind of make sure that you can keep your schools from defecting. We knew Texas State was going to make that jump. And I don't think that too many athletic departments are kind of losing any sleep over that. I'm not. I mean, it'll be cool to play them this year. It'd be cool to see Marshall go up against Texas State in football, that's fine. Yeah, I'm all for that. But on the regular, I don't know if that was really an exciting one that a lot of East Division teams circled and go, okay, Texas State, yeah, we're excited about that. And that's nothing against Texas State. It's just, it's out of the way. At least with some of the teams that have been talked about, Western Kentucky, you got a little bit more of the proximity. It works a little bit more. Fan bases can have fun, go after each other. I mean, really, how many Texas State fans do you know? Now, how many Ohio Bobcat fans do you know? How many Western Kentucky fans do you know? How many Miami Redhawks do you know, fan-wise? How many Pirates do you know for ECU? You know some. It's something that you got to keep in mind. And maybe you stay put. Maybe you stay with 13. You get a little extra revenue from the TV package, and then once the television package begins to be renegotiated, then you start looking around and seeing which programs are available, and you might have a better understanding of which ones are going to bring you more value. And I think you got to look a little long-term from the standpoint that, okay, great, if you bring Louisiana Tech into conference, that might help some travel for some of the other programs. How much is that going to help? And what does that do for the overall image and viability of the conference, the prestige? I mean, 3 schools in Louisiana. 3? 2's good. I'm fine with that. You can have 2. 3, though? And we're not talking the top-tier schools. It's not like it's the ACC. You got Duke, North Carolina, NC State. You had a multitude of really good universities in North Carolina. That's fine. Completely different than having a league like the Sun Belt trying to put itself in a spot where it's the best of the rest. And then you have Louisiana Tech, which doesn't hurt you, but it doesn't elevate you as well. It basically fills out a requirement. Okay, proximity, geographic footprint, check. Okay, can be viable across the board. Okay, check. Might help out with some travel. Okay, check. It's like you went to the prom. You went to the prom by yourself, and the best you could do was maybe cut in now and then and dance with somebody else's date, or you dance the music yourself here. It just, it's not as fulfilling. That's kind of what Louisiana Tech is to me. It's like, just going to the prom by yourself there. It's really, it's not really the experience I want for the Sun Belt. I want a program that brings some value to the league and elevates the league. I mean, if you're going to replace Texas State, go get a program that's going to be on the rise or bring you something. All right, one more text, then we got to hit the break. Texter says, if Ohio U comes over to the Sun Belt, would they put them in the West? I don't think so. I think if Ohio actually would make that, and we're a long way off from that. If Ohio would actually join the Sun Belt, I think you'd have to go north-south. There can't be an east-west. You have to change that up a little bit. And then you would probably see Georgia Southern go in the West. And I'd hate that because I like Marshall, App State, Georgia Southern. Again, it gives me that old Southern Conference vibe, just a little bit of that. So I'd hate to see that go, but at the same time, you get Marshall, Ohio, App State, JMU, got Coastal as well. I'm good with this, You've Old Dominion, yes. I'm good with this. I still would like the division. We will take more of your text, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
The soundtrack to your summer is back. Mount West 9th Street Live, downtown Huntington's favorite Friday night tradition. Presented by Michelob Ultra and White Claw. This Friday, July 11th, it's Collins Career Center night featuring 2 sets from the John Ingram Band on the Marsha OBGYN stage. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back, and Gomart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy food and drinks from the Marsha Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station. Mark your calendar for July 18th, the return of Jeremy Short. Join us July 25th for Souls of the Wounded. The Thundering Herd Rally is Friday, August the 15th. 9th Street Live is driven by University Ford and built by Cardinal Roofing. Every Friday night through Labor Day, 9th Street in Huntington between 3rd and 4th Avenues. Sponsored by Delta Hotels, Wendy's, Mountain Mindful, City of Huntington, Marshall University, Blinko Glass Company, Marshall Health Arena, and Kendrick Communications. This Friday, it's the John Ingram Band at Mount West 9th Street Live. Be there.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at Hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs, with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to Hims.com/joy. That's Hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
I'm Nori, and when I was young, my mom opened our home to someone who needed a secure and safe place. She taught him what it was like to have someone care about you, having dinner at home or going out to eat together.
In West Virginia, families open their homes every year to adult family care.
Some folks need a little extra help, but everybody deserves a family.
Call the Department of Human Services and ask to speak to an adult family care home finder at 304-269-6820. Sponsored by the West Virginia Department of Human Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project is supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, of the United States U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $1,227,345, with 100% funded by ACL HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL HHS or the U.S. government.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now, there's all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions. So try picking your fave from Oreo Brownie Fusion, Pop-Tarts Strawberry Fusion, Strawberry Swirl, Brownie Batter Swirl, Caramel Swirl, and Caramel Crunch Fusion. Not so easy now, huh? For a fresh way to Frosty, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location. Oreo is a trademark of Mondelez International Group. Pop-Tarts is a trademark of Kellogg North America Co., LLC. Used with permission.
At home or at work, in the car or at the gym, there's nothing more convenient than the fast service and the quality products brought to you by Tyler Mountain Water and Coffee. If you're always on the go with family, friends, co-workers, and business associates, give Tyler Mountain Water and Coffee a chance. They have everything that you need, from filtration coolers, coffee for your work, at-home delivery, and 8-ounce, 10-ounce, and half-liter bottles, or by the pallet. Tyler Mountain Water and Coffee, where great taste just comes naturally. Visit us at tylermountainwater.com.
Hurt at work? Tom Boggs is here for you in Huntington, and he's brought the expertise of Warner Law Offices with him.
Call 345-6789.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We continue on with today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We got a lot of traction on speculating about which team or teams could the Sun Belt invite into the league to replace Texas State. Of course, right now the game plan seems to be wait and see. There have been some feelers that have been put out there. I don't think that Louisiana Tech is necessarily going to be the best fit for some of these schools. We're looking at 3 Louisiana schools. You have Louisiana already with the Ragin' Cajuns and then ULM. You have Louisiana. Ragin' Cajuns, of course, are the brand compared to the other two if you bring Louisiana Tech in. And then in Mississippi, of course, Southern Miss, a good brand. You have South Alabama, Troy. You have Arkansas State. You have some interesting brands in the West. And now in the East, though, the East feels better to me because Coastal brings you something. App, definitely. Old Dominion, JMU, Marshall in its own way. And I've always felt this, when Marshall does its own thing and not worrying about anything else, Marshall's going to be fine. Marshall should always worry about being the very best it can be and not worry about anything else in the state. The fans will come. Winning helps, bringing fans back. That's where I think Marshall should be right now. But then you bring in Ohio, and that generates just a little bit more interest there because all of a sudden you have a little bit more back and forth. It's in your backyard. So Marshall fans and Ohio fans are talking to each other going, you work with them. It's not like Athens is just this far away land. It's so far. No, it's a nice little drive. And there you are. You're in Athens. You're in this beautiful little college town. And Ohio has, and let's be honest, Ohio State is the first and last word when it comes to college athletics in the state of Ohio. But Athens has, a good fan base for Ohio. And I think that would help. It would generate at least a little bit more interest. And right now, at this point, what's going to get you television? What's going to get you noticed? And I don't feel like Louisiana Tech brings you anything to the table. Now, if you can look past that for a second and start thinking about, okay, what about, and we do the what abouts, is 14 enough? Do you go to 16? You're going to have the opportunity. You could bring 3 programs in. You would have to bring 3 programs in. And do you want to raid Conference USA again? Do you want to go that route, or do you want to look a little bit outside the box? And, of course, I don't think Liberty is one of those programs where, it's a conference. It's not a charter member of Conference USA. It's a program which was brought in to kind of bolster Conference USA or try to fill some vacancies there. So you could bring a Liberty over, and then you could possibly bring an Ohio over from the Mid-American Conference. But are we thinking too small here? Are we hoping for the big one that ECU is available and all of a sudden the American starts to fall apart? If the American starts to fall apart, then one of 2 outcomes could happen. Either you could see some of the programs from the Sun Belt leave for the American, or you could see the Sun Belt go after a few teams from the American. And let's look at that just for a moment. If you are looking to get into the American, and if the American starts to fall apart, team that's most likely to leave, probably Memphis. I think that's fair. Team the most likely to leave the American. Then which team is probably the second most likely? Is it Tulane? Could Tulane be gone, leaving the American? And what's that leave you? That leaves you UTSA, Charlotte, South Florida, Florida Atlantic, East Carolina, Rice, UAB. Now, would the American benefit more from cherry picking the Sun Belt, and could Marshall be among those that get the call up? Would it really be even a call up? Or could the Sun Belt go hunting and nab 1 or 2 of those programs? And ECU obviously would be the prime candidate. You take ECU, you're 14, there you go. All right, all's good. You want to get to 16 now, where do you go next? Do you take Charlotte? Or do you go elsewhere? Now, think of this. Army and Tulane were your top schools in football. Army and Navy aren't coming to the Sun Belt, so I'm not even talking about them. But if you look at this from that standpoint, I would love to be in a conference with Army and Navy. Army, Navy, yeah, that would be cool. Absolutely. I don't think anyone would disagree with me on that. I welcome that disagreement. If you're there, if that is you have a strong invite. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. But do I want to see Marshall in a league playing football with Tulsa again, or Florida Atlantic, or Temple, or Rice, or North Texas? And could North Texas get picked off somewhere? I mean, I don't know if that's the case. Would North Texas be a candidate for a westward expansion from one of the 2 conferences out there? I don't think Charlotte's going anywhere right now. I don't think that, UTSA could be cherry-picked. Who knows? But if there's some cherry-picking to be done here, I think the Sun Belt obviously putting its call into East Carolina just to say, hey, look, we're here if you need us. We're here if you need us. And I think that's what's going on right now with some of the schools, especially from the Mid-American Conference. And there are reports that it's more than just one that made that phone call. And I'm sure right now we are already counting Western Kentucky and Ohio among those that have made that call. But it seems there's more than one right now making the call. It's one of those conversations that are being had. It's like, hey, we're here if you need us. Love what you're doing with the place. If you got a vacancy, hey, we'd love to put an application in. Possibly, it's a great neighborhood. Great neighborhood. Seems like it's a fun place. Yeah, give us a call. You got our number, right? That's the conversation you got going on right now between some of these schools. But at the end of the day, I think East Carolina is a long shot. Ohio is not a far-fetched idea these days. Western Kentucky. And if you're going to go to 16, my big three would then be Liberty. All right, I'll throw East Carolina in. Ultimately, East Carolina, Liberty, Ohio, or Western Kentucky, if you're going to try to get to 16. Those would be my choices. Now, if you're telling me that East Carolina is not happening and the Sun Belt's not going to be able to pick apart the American because the American's going to hold firm, all right, then give me Liberty, give me Ohio, give me Western Kentucky. Those are my three right now. Middle's not even in this conversation. And then let Conference USA do its thing and go grab some more schools. And yeah, it's got Delaware, which, once upon a time I was really into Marshall playing Delaware. That was then, this is now. But Louisiana Tech, what does Louisiana Tech bring you that you covet, other than it makes sense for the geography for a couple of programs? It makes sense for a couple of programs. Louisiana Tech was 4-4 in conference. Louisiana Tech was 5-8 in 2024. Liberty was 5-3 in league play, 8-4 overall. Jacksonville State was 7-1. I don't think anyone's knocking it on their door right now. But that would have been Sam Houston. We've talked about them. And we can go on, and I'm willing to entertain any other school that we've kind of overlooked. But at the end of the day, I think the short term we're going to see is a wait-and-see attitude. 13 for right now. Television money. Get a little bit extra of that, and maybe just see what the landscape looks like. Hopefully, we'll have a new athletic director in the near future that can have a strong voice in the room. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Final segments coming up on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Taco Fest 3 Summer Circus is presented by Walking Billboard and Margaritas. Saturday, July 19th at Harris Riverfront Park in downtown Huntington. Enjoy more than 20 food vendors and area restaurants and their unique takes on tacos, nachos, burritos, and quesadillas. Plus a plethora of flavored margaritas, Mexican beers, and more. Taco eating contests for kids and adults, free carnival rides, and the Cincinnati Circus and more. Prizes include a free 5-day, 4-night carnival cruise for 2, free food, an 80-inch TV, and more. All at Harris Riverfront Park. Saturday, July 19th from 12 to 8. Rides start at 11. Sponsors include Sean Hornbuckle, Edward Jones, Rocco's, Texas Roadhouse, Western Regional Casa, Legends Barbershop, Sod's Wine and Spirits, Burke and Herbert Bank, and Margaritas Restaurant. Taco Fest 3 Summer Circus. Kids 12 and under get in free and ride the rides free. Saturday, July 19th at Harris Riverfront Park, downtown Huntington. Get more info on Facebook or at Taco Fest WV on Instagram.
Are you looking to grow your business? Start with KFB, the better bank. From easy, flexible business checking accounts to finding the right loan to fuel your next big move, KFB is here for you every step of the way. Whether you're just starting out or expanding fast, we've got the tools, support, and local expertise to help your business thrive. KFB, the better bank, in Ashland, Summit, Catlettsburg, Louisa, and Wheelersburg. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Hey, that's the spirit. Right now, we're celebrating free with a free STP oil filter when you buy 5 quarts of oil and free Duralast brake pads when you buy 2 rotors. Like always, free battery testing, charging, and recycling at every store. Celebrate free at AutoZone, now through July 28th.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Save big on everything for your next outdoor project at Menards. Shop the largest selection of AC2 pressure-treated lumber and decking, all easy to load into your vehicle in our drive-through lumber yard. Plus, get free estimates fast using our easy do-it-yourself deck design program. Available in-store or on Menards.com. Save big on all pressure-treated lumber and decking at Menards. And don't forget to check out our weekly flyer for more great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
We're here at Roosters asking folks, what's your favorite day? I'm guessing you're going to say opening day or maybe Christmas Day. Well, I'm here to make a pitch for Monday. That's right, Monday at Roosters at Pullman Square in Huntington. Because on Mondays at Roosters, you can get 99-cent boneless or traditional wings. Or maybe Tuesday when you get that $3 featured appetizer of the week and 99-cent kids meals. Actually, any day that ends in DAY is sweet when you have over 40 TVs. Enjoy your favorite day or days at Roosters, Pullman Square in Huntington, a fun, casual joint.
Rock the Concert at James Family Outfitters for Rock the Country 2025. Get your boots, hat, jeans, and more for the area's biggest concert. Stars like Kid Rock, Nickelback, Hank Williams Jr., and Tracy Lawrence, just to name a few. Rock the Concert in style with Wrangler jeans, Stetson hats, Durango, Harriet, and Justin boots. All at James Family Outfitters, 507 Carroll Malone Boulevard, July 11th and 12th. Stake your claim with the folks named James.
Looking for the best spot to cool off with a drink this summer? Kerber Beer Company in Barboursville has you covered. Their Brady Street Beer Garden is the perfect place to sip one of their great craft beers, cocktails, or wine, and enjoy a full menu of food. Add in live music, trivia, and good vibes, and you've got a summer hangout like no other. Can't make it to the tap room? Kerber Beer Company is on tap at over 25 locations. And if your favorite spot doesn't have it, well, just ask for it. From our village to your glass, KerberBeer.com.
There's a place to share the joy of your team winning it all, and a place to share a laugh about skiing and taking a fall. There's a place to share photos of pets, or singing in the choir, or the time you ate a pepper and your mouth was on fire. But we could all be better at sharing how we're feeling inside. 76% of employees have struggled with at least one issue that affected their mental health. When you share, you're not alone. Ask about your company's emotional health benefits. Visit heart.org/sharing. Brought to you by the American Heart Association.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talk Line, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Thank you, Dave. Don't forget, Metro News Talk Line, it's weekdays 10:06 right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Dave always has interesting guests, and of course, Fridays are the best time to tune in because Steam Release will be coming up tomorrow. So catch it all right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Let's get back to the text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We've got a couple of interesting ones that are coming in right now. All right, first one. Does anyone know Jeff O'Malley's interest in coming back to Marshall? I think he's doing fine right now where he's at, but you can always go elsewhere and make the case for you to really be the candidate to come back. That's a hard one for me to answer. And if he's really interested, he's not expressed that anywhere where I've heard. But I would think Jeff should be someone that got a phone call. I would have made a phone call to Jeff and say, look, what do you think your possibilities are for coming back to Marshall, and what would it take if he's not on the short list? I think we did it wrong, unless he's just not interested or he doesn't think he's ready for that. But I would think if you asked Jeff O'Malley, would you be interested in taking the job at Marshall University? I think there would be some strong interest there. But would he want to take that opportunity, or does he enjoy the challenge of where he's at right now at Lamar? Also, Texture says, Paul, I think the MAC plays a lot of their games during the week. Who can go to games during the week? If I was an Ohio University fan, I would want out contract with ESPN national TV. I would want out too. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Maction, but I can just sit back and watch that on TV. I'm not actually trying to go to those games. I mean, sure, you know what? Hey, I got a Tuesday night game. We're working Tuesday night. Okay. I mean, if I was a Marshall fan and I had to figure out what my schedule will look like, and I'm trying to come in from out of town, and it's a Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever the Maction games are, I would lose my mind because of the fact that you can't just pull up and go. I mean, it would honestly not make it possible for Marshall to sell tickets because a lot of your fan base is coming out of town. A lot of Marshall alum would love to come in and watch the game, but yeah, you got a lot of people that aren't going to be able to come in on a midweek game. A midweek game, a Thursday night now and then, that's fine. I get that. I understand that. But if, from the standpoint of trying to sell tickets, well, those midweek games aren't doing it for you. Now, if you're getting substantial television money, sure, okay, I get it. But is the MAC really getting substantial television money? I mean, it's fine, but is it really worth that? And I think that's where a lot of the disgruntled attitudes are starting to come from. Just the midweek, the Maction. It's different than a basketball game. A lot of people aren't traveling from different parts of the country for midweek basketball. You know that. The arenas are smaller than football stadiums. We get that. So, you don't have to sell as many tickets. You can have a comfortable size and not have to worry about filling up this massive empty arena. With Maction, you get on TV, but at what cost are we looking at these days? How many people are tuning in? You're definitely not getting fans to show up. It's not going to go well for the Mid-American Conference if you see some teams. And if a team like Ohio, if a program like Ohio is actually entertaining the idea of leaving the Mid-American Conference, I thought Ohio would be the school that turned the lights out on that conference. So that's interesting. And Maction, while it's been fun to watch, if you're a fan base that has to deal with that, and we're talking November, we're not talking just a one-off here. It's like the entire month of November. Okay, playing midweek games. Let's play midweek games, and that really hurts the fan, the alum that comes from out of town. Now, if the fan base was just limited to the greater Athens region, or if it was just limited to even the state of Ohio, you could work around that. But it's college football. There are fans everywhere. You have Marshall fans in all corners of the country. You have fans of whatever college across the country, the alum. That's why you want to fight for those weekend dates. If you're a program like Marshall in the Sun Belt, you don't want to play these midweek games. Now, on the flip side, though, hey, get to go to a midweek game. You got it done. Hey, Marshall's played on a Wednesday. Okay, we got, can travel. I can go to different college games. I can go to different college games on a Saturday. My day's free. Okay, I'm good. I can find the positive here, but you're trying to grow the conference here. I don't know if just the Maction television exposure is really worth it, especially when it hurts you at the gate. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255, our text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Couple of news items before we go. Of course, you all saw this, right? John Elmore got his first invite to the NBA Summer League. Johnny Buckets making the Summer League. So that is good news. Also, we're going to try to have him on next week. Will Smith named the GM of the Thundering Herd Sports Property. So we'll get him on. I think we've got him tentatively set for next week. And we'll tell you now that we'll give him an opportunity to kind of explain what that is. What is that job? So I'm looking forward to that. That's tentative for next week, and I've already reached out, so we've got that penciled in. Find out a little bit more. Just what does a GM of Thundering Herd Sports Properties do? And you look at who's in the position. You get a Marshall grad, a local product that's back in that position. So I'm looking forward to that next week. So that's kind of a sneak peek of at least one guest we've got cooking for next week. And, of course, we'll be back with you tomorrow for our Friday edition here, and we're going to probably have open text lines as well. Hopefully, we'll have a little bit more on what conference realignment looks like. I would love it if something would just break tonight so we can get this one put to bed sooner than later. Of course, we still have a lot of ground to make up. When will Marshall start talking about candidates? When will we see potential candidates for the athletic director's job at Marshall University? When will those candidates be invited on campus? And will we have a chance to kind of look at the list of individuals that are potential to be the next athletic director? So all of that coming up. And maybe, to the texter's point earlier, maybe it is going to be a person like Jeff O'Malley. He's on my short list, and I will hold to that. He at least should have got a phone call. And I'm not talking about just a courtesy call. Hey, Jeff, we're just going to call you. We're going to hire for a new athletic director. No, it would have been a serious, okay, we're hiring a new athletic director. Jeff, you did a great job as the interim athletic director at Marshall University, and we would like you to have a real opportunity to come back to Huntington and tell us why you're the next candidate, why you're the next athletic director. You're the best man for the job, or the best person for the job. We want to give you that opportunity. And I would have been sincere, and I would have given him, he would have been automatically to the, I don't want to say the round of 10, whatever the semifinal round looks like. I would have put him in the semis or at least the quarters and say, okay, you get a bid. You get an automatic bye, Jeff, into the elimination round. You make the case why you should be the next athletic director. I would have given him that courtesy. That's going to do it. Thank you for everyone that was part of it today, and I do appreciate it. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I can be found at X, at Paul Swann. I'm on Threads as well, Blue Sky. You can link over. I've got a link page on my profile on X, so you can find me on all those other various social media outlets. I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Broadcasting from the Dave & Buster's studios. Eat, drink, play, and watch at Dave & Buster's in the Huntington Mall. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. WRBC, W231BS Huntington.